Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Milan Andrade. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, we take a look at our environment, from efforts to protect Arizona's eagle population to the increase in the monarch population.
Eagles represent freedom, peace, and strength for many, but a recent study found that more and more eagles are suffering from chronic lead poisoning. Cronkite News reporter Peyton Major scavenged to find out what Arizona is doing to protect these birds. Eagles are scavengers, and they often feed on animal carcasses littered with lead bullet fragments left by hunters. But Arizona is trying to get hunters to leave the lead behind.
An eagle's unique call can be urgent, especially when they're hungry. But there's also an urgency from research biologists about the use of lead ammunition while hunting. A new study published in the journal Science looks at the impacts of lead ingestion in eagles around the country.
Primary findings of our study are that almost 50% of bald and golden eagles showed signs of repeated lead exposure throughout their lives.
The study also found that the bald eagle population is decreasing by 4% annually, while golden eagles are decreasing 1%. Slaby says the signs for a lead-poisoned eagle are a grounded bird with a droopy head and a green tail.
Eagles are important to people. You know, we have them as their national symbol, right? These are species that humans are attracted to, that we empathize with, and we see ourselves in them.
And in Arizona, of the few bald eagles studied, all were chronically lead poisoned. Liberty Wildlife rescues birds around Arizona and treats up to 20 lead-poisoned eagles a year. It can take 6 months to fully remove lead from a bird's system. California condors and other scavengers are also impacted by lead ammunition. Liberty Wildlife wants hunters to take action.
And when a lead fragment hits something, like when it hits a deer, it breaks apart in pieces.
The Arizona Game and Fish Department off Carefree Highway encourages use of non-lead ammo when hunting.
We've had 80 to 90% over the last decade of hunters in the area either switching to non-lead alternatives or removing their gut piles out of the environment after they're successful.
Arizona Game and Fish offers vouchers to big game hunters for free non-lead ammo when practicing in the California condor range. With the simple switch, more hunters and eagles are living lead-free. And with breeding season among us, eagle populations can continue to grow across Arizona.
After years of the dwindling population, monarch butterflies may be making a comeback. The Xerces Society reported more than 200,000 monarch butterflies across the West this winter. This is compared to the less than 2,000 that were reported last winter. Karen Marroquin takes us to a butterfly grove in California to explain this fluctuation in population.
Here in San Luis Obispo, butterflies fly around and enjoy basking in the sun as their time at the grove comes to an end. Back in early fall of last year, the monarch butterflies migrated here from the west side of the Rocky Mountains to escape the cold. Next, they'll head back up north as far as Canada. While this is a yearly migration, the population sizes have been very different every year.
We used to have monarchs in the over 1 million for this western population. Here at the Grove, it was maybe a quarter of that just for our site. But over the years, it's just been a pretty steady decline.
But recently, things took a turn for the better. This year, 22,000 monarchs were counted at the Pismo Beach Butterfly Grove, compared to a mere 200 last year. Historically, butterflies are known to have fluctuating populations. According to the Western monarch count, in 2001, there were over 20,000 Western monarchs reported. Then the population significantly dropped in 2002, and in the following year, it went back up to over 20,000 again. Still, Slack says that the overall pattern that they've been seeing is alarming. Pesticides are one of the many threats that monarchs face, as they decimate milkweed, their primary food source and the only plant that monarchs lay their eggs on. But there's another thing that's endangering monarchs.
The biggest threat monarchs have is habitat loss. There's a lot of groves up and down the coast, but historically there were a lot more.
Gail Morris, coordinator of the Southwest Monarch Study in Arizona, says that humans are a huge reason why this is happening.
We are encroaching on their habitat. And as a result of that, we need to be able to help all of wildlife through this troubled time.
Humans may be a big threat to monarchs, but Morris says that we can also be their biggest helpers.
If we have a small backyard, plant a couple milkweeds, plant flowers that we know monarchs like to visit. And like I mentioned before, look in the neighboring trees. Are there some trees here for shade? Do we have it? All within our neighborhoods.
People can also volunteer with organizations like the Southwest Monarch Study to help plant milkweeds across the country. In the last 2 years, the organization planted nearly 7,000 milkweed plants in Arizona with the help of volunteers. And that's helping the population.
The interesting thing is there were other monarchs around the area. People found them in their backyards in Northern California. We saw a lot of them here in Arizona.
So much is at stake, and the future of monarch butterflies is unknown. For now, they will continue fighting for their existence, one day at a time. In San Luis Obispo, Karen Marroquin, Cronkite News.
Miller and Slack both hope that this increase in population will encourage people to help protect this species.
4 days each February, birds take central stage as people all over the world share their bird sightings through the Great Backyard Bird Count. Cronkite News reporter Atria Meneshny joins us now. And Atria, how can people get involved?
Today is the last day for this bird count, and you can be a citizen scientist by observing birds simply from your own backyard or your favorite park. All it takes to participate is a smartphone or a computer and some love for nature. The Great Backyard Bird Count started with one simple question posed by the National Audubon Society and Cornell Lab of Ornithology.
They were curious that if we created a project and some simple tools that invited people to tell us what birds they were seeing, whether they would tell us.
The answer was an overwhelming yes. People love sharing their bird sightings so much that the Great Backyard Bird Count is now celebrating its 25th year. The data is interned on eBird. It's a citizen science tool used to track bird trends.
What we're seeing, general patterns are birds' ranges are expanding and or changing. And a lot of that expansion might be related to climate change, depending on the species that we're looking at.
Here in Arizona, the state is home to more than 500 different birds.
Arizona is at the convergence of many different vegetation zones. So we have the Rocky Mountains, the Sierra Madre from northwest Mexico, and also 4 different deserts.
Some birds in Arizona, like the mountain bluebird and the Clark's nutcracker, may lose their current range due to climate change. They could be forced to find a more suitable habitat. That's according to the Audubon Society.
I know that in terms of the Hassayampa River Preserve, where I've been for 4.5 years, and even before my time here, we've had multiple species that have been moving northward with climate change.
The main goals of the Great Backyard Bird Count are to unite new and returning bird watchers around the world and to help scientists gather valuable data. As of Sunday morning, more than 6,100 unique species of birds have been observed during the count. You can see the bird hotspots coming in on the real-time map by eBird. Tonight is the last night for the bird count, and it wraps up at midnight. So go on out and find some birds to report on. In downtown Phoenix, Atria Meneshny, Cronkite News.
Growing crops under extreme weather conditions has been difficult for farmers, but some researchers in Arizona are working on an experiment that might help solve the problem. Cronkite News reporter Valeria Rodriguez tells us how a small weed can be the key.
Carefully picking the most important part of the plant, student Cristian Salazar de Leon hopes to create a new variety of an Aropsis Tatiana. He is one of the students that are using this plant as a base for the experiment.
But what we hope is that since it's a normal plant, whatever we can learn about it will be true for all plants. But I also want to say it has more genes than we do. And we think that's because it needs to be able to sit in one spot and deal with all the different changes in the environment.
Arabidopsis Tatiana grows under extreme conditions. Scientists believe Arizona is the best place to use as a model to explain how other plants can withstand the extreme weather.
The world is going to be turning more and more like Arizona as our planet heats up. And so here is a fantastic place to study what the future environment will be. And so if we can understand how plants grow with limited water and really hot environments, then perhaps we can create new breeds and varieties that would be able to grow better.
The goal of the experiment is to find new ways to grow crops in hot weather that can result in better harvests. The National Science Foundation awarded UArizona School of Plant Sciences a $3.5 million grant for this project.
The really important thing about this grant and what makes it different and a bit unique is this collaboration between biologists, computer scientists, and engineers. And those are things that we have strengths in at U of A, and so we can bring the whole package to our partner universities.
In Tucson, Valeria Rodriguez, Cronkite News.
The project is expected to take course over the next 5 years, and the results can help other states with growing crops under extreme hot conditions.
Today is Arizona Gives Day, an annual tradition that encourages Arizonans to donate to a nonprofit organization of their choice. Over 1,000 organizations are participating in this year's holiday, and Cronkite News reporter Nick Shesky visited one of the nonprofits to learn why this year, more than ever, nonprofits need help.
Almost There Rescue is an animal shelter that provides care for pregnant dogs and their puppies, and doing that can be costly.
My job is to make sure that we have the funds to make all of this happen, to save dogs every day, and I work with a team of people, but it's a big task.
The COVID-19 pandemic paired with rising inflation have made things hard for everyone, and nonprofits like Almost There Rescue are feeling the pressure.
Nonprofits are being affected by inflation rates, higher gas prices, food prices, especially those dealing with human service type organizations. They really are in need of assistance.
Jennifer Purcell, the vice president at the Alliance of Arizona Nonprofits, says last year was a record-breaking year, raising $7.1 million. And this year, the number is rising live on their website.
It's really hard to know what 40,000 plus donors are going to do, or how even inflation might be affecting them and their ability to give right now.
Heidi Leva says that Arizona Gives Day is an immensely important day for raising money, but it's even better at making Almost There's mission well known to the community.
Arizona Gives Day is pretty much our biggest holiday because for us it means that all kinds of new people will be on the Arizona Give site and they'll see us for the first time.
And Leva says that with rising costs like dog food or vet care, this Arizona Gives Day feels just a little bit more important than ones in the past.
We are up against so much as an animal rescue, and it costs a lot to do this, and even more so this year. So I would say that this Arizona Gives Day is probably the most important that we've ever participated in.
The importance goes beyond the nonprofits. It's something felt by every person or animal they touch.
And the day really helps create a lot of awareness about the work that the nonprofit sector is doing in our communities, and the support that they need. We hope that the public hears that and understands the connection to having a thriving community and supporting the nonprofit sector.
In Phoenix, Nick Shesky, Cronkite News.
Since 2013, Arizona Gives Day has raised over $30 million for Arizona nonprofits. To give a donation, check out azgives.org.
There are many mental health and ocean conservation advocates in the world, but rarely do we see both of those issues addressed in a single event. Reporter Karen Merrill-Keen takes us inside a traveling exhibit that hopes to improve the ocean and your peace of mind.
The sounds of the ocean fill the room with tranquility and joy as people lay around absorbing the ambience. By combining ocean sounds and art, Joshua Sam Miller, musician and co-creator of Sounds of the Ocean, says he's bringing awareness to ocean conservation.
The ocean is the lung of our planet, and it's the way that we are going to bring balance to the negative impact that, unfortunately, a lot of our industry and commerce has had from our work here on land.
Each year, billions of pounds of trash and debris enter the ocean through human activities and human errors. Just last year, around 126,000 gallons of oil spilled into the ocean after a pipeline ruptured off the California coast. Miller hopes that his work will inspire people to be more mindful of the ocean and find more inner peace in the present.
One of the things we know is that the more present we can be with our thoughts and our feelings, the more relaxed we can be. And oftentimes then that makes us feel a lot better.
Nowadays, caring for mental health matters more than ever. According to the American Psychology Association, in 2021, nearly 1/3 of adults said they were so stressed about the pandemic that they struggled making basic decisions, like what to wear or what to eat. Aaron Krasno is the Associate Vice President and Director of Arizona State University's Health and Counseling Services. He says that while these types of events are great to relax the mind, he also wants to remind everyone that,
like, all the people who benefited from an activity, they may have benefited in that moment, but if they don't put that into practice, it won't have a major change in their life. It'll just have felt good once.
Instead, Krasno suggests relaxing the mind a couple of times a week to reap the long-lasting benefits.
The research is clear, though. People who participate in these mindful activities, because that's really what it is, it's a mindfulness practice, have better outcomes for their mental health, for their physical health, for their relationships.
Reporting from Los Angeles, Karen Marroquin, Cronkite News.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. Next is Break It Down. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream. For the first time ever, our most popular programs have been selected just for you.
But there's so much more.
Whether you like to travel,
Wow.
feast,
And calories don't count.
look back,
That is me.
discover.
And you know the whole story.
There's something for everyone.
Let's get to it right away.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
What you get from Washington Week that you will not get anywhere else are the best and the brightest reporters from different media companies, and they're able to have a real conversation about things that are happening in Washington and around the country. But it's also a show about issues that are relevant to different communities.
How do you think that
As the moderator, I feel this deep responsibility to bring in those other perspectives so that people understand how power and politics impact their daily lives.
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS.
Break It Down is brought to you in part by Mayo Clinic and viewers like you.
You know, about 10 years ago, I decided to leave corporate America and only do art full time. And now so many people are making the decision to leave corporate America as well. So today we're talking all about the Great Migration. Let's break it down. I'm your host, Lady Caress, and joining me is Melissa Lamson. Thank you so very much. I'm so excited to talk about this topic because it's so near and dear to my heart, for sure. So I know you have some expertise when it comes to entrepreneurship, dealing with women who have exited, corporate lifestyle. Tell me what's going on right now in America.
I love talking about this topic because I think it's really important, particularly that women follow their passion, follow their dreams, are excited about what they're working on, because we spend so many hours at work, right? I mean, the average woman spends like 12 hours a day working. And that's really no joke. I mean, checking emails and responding to meetings and all kinds of stuff, as well as just all the tasks that they're working on. So we need to love it. I only know that there's what some people say 3, some people say 4 million women left the workforce during the pandemic.
Wow.
And that the statistics show that something like 40% are bored in their current corporate jobs. And thinking about leaving, and then 34% of all employees started a side hustle during the pandemic. So there's a desire out there to do something more, and I'd love to get to the bottom of why now.
And when I think about like everything that's happening in the pandemic, there's so many factors that we have to think about. I mean, even childcare right now, you know what I mean? I think that that's hard for people to go back into the workforce when they haven't quite figured that out yet. I mean, some people are still teaching their students at home, you know, and I think it's just hard for people right now. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who's currently in that kind of juxtaposition where they don't know if they are necessarily still comfortable in that corporate phase and not necessarily ready to take the leap out of it either? What kind of advice would you give someone in that state?
You know, so one of the things we knew before the pandemic is that women, particularly by a certain age point in their careers, they've had a lot of experience, they've accomplished a lot of challenges, but they do feel somehow underappreciated. And I think this is really important to acknowledge, you know, as a woman who might feel underappreciated, that you're not alone, right? That this is not uncommon. So overworked, underappreciated, and why would I stay in a situation like that?
I think so many people get to a point where they get tired of knocking on the door and saying, hey, can I move up in my position, right? Like, am I good enough yet to get to the next level? And I think that, right, you almost have to have a gateway that you have to go through. And when you're outside of the corporate America, you can kind of move at your own pace and go as far as you want to go. There's no cap, right? Like, I think that's definitely an important factor.
And you know, the research shows that it's even harder on women of color, right? And so, you know, that's a huge segment of the population in terms of women and women of color to not be appreciating and supporting inside the workforce. I mean, I don't know what your situation was, Caress, when you transitioned out, but was there something that really made that click for you, that you needed to go?
Yeah, to be honest, I felt exploited. I felt as if people knew my worth in the workforce. However, they didn't want to pay my worth or acknowledge my worth. They noticed it though, right? So it wasn't that it wasn't noticed. And I think that's a big thing. You know, people can come into your office and say, oh, you're doing a great job. But if my salary hasn't gone up in 2 years, or, you know, I haven't gotten a promotion, the actions speak louder than just the recognition. And I think that's really what I was missing. I wanted everything else to support my work.
Yeah, you're not alone there.
Yeah, and I got fed up and I said, you know, I can move faster, I can do more by myself. And so, yeah, I got a group, a community. I found some people to understand what that looked like, because it was hard. And then I finally was able to make that transition, to be honest with you. So when I think about like life after walking away, like, and you deal with people like this all the time, right? You're currently dealing with women who are literally in the process of walking away. What does this look like? Like, I make the decision, okay, no longer want to be in the workforce. I have a great idea. What's next? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, of course you can join Recreate and build your business or nonprofit, but there's also lots of other resources out there. I mean, talk to the city programs, get involved with accelerators and incubators, go out there and talk to other entrepreneurs who are doing it, and just really start to lean into your idea, even if you just get some things down on paper. If people do have a social impact idea, an environmental impact idea, something that they feel strongly about that would create a better life and create a better world, they should absolutely go for it. Try it. And if there's a way to make money and create a sustainable life for themselves while doing it, why not?
I know you guys, you have a company and you all are working with entrepreneurs and you all are actually like putting that bubble together, that whole package together. Can you tell me a little bit about that resource of how like all of that works?
Yeah, sure. So we started Recreate during the pandemic, and Recreate is an action tank is what we call it, because it's not just a mastermind or a coaching program or a networking group. It's really a program that helps women take action on creating a business or a nonprofit that they've been dreaming about. They take their idea to launch within 6 months. And so we provide everything really on a silver platter so that you don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about, where do I find my marketing person? How do I do social media? What do I do to sell this product? What is my product? I mean, we just help you conceive of all of that, build it, and then put it out there to the world and provide a list of all the best vendors to support that going forward after the 6 months. So it's yeah, it's really great. I mean, one of the things about women is that we may have a great idea, but then we second guess ourselves, or we think of all the reasons why we shouldn't do it, or there's, we get scared about, scarcity and money and all of that. And of course, that's all important. That's all real stuff. But it even keeps us from trying, right? Or taking that step. So we say, do this program, give us 10 to 20 hours a week if you can, commit to it for 6 months, and then see at the end, what you can have. It's amazing that how these things can really grow and be successful if you put your mind to it.
I think the bottom line of this is like, take the leap of faith, right? Believe in yourself. There definitely are resources out there that you can definitely take advantage of. And honestly, find your community or some people to support you, your project, your ideas. That really helps give you that push to go and do something that you have always dreamed about. So that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. This has been Break It Down. We're talking about the Great Exodus. We'd love to hear more about what kind of impacts you want to make, what kind of shifts and changes are in your near future. So comment, like, share, repost, communicate. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much, Melissa, for joining me, and have a good one, guys.
My pleasure.
This hour of local news is made possible by contributions from the Friends of PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you. If you have comments about Arizona PBS News, please contact us at one of the addresses on your screen. Thank you.